Thanks. Thank you. So yes, so the product name is NIF, NIF Hypercloud. So we are an Indian-based OEM. We started in the year 2016-17 as a pure play SIM vendor. We initially started the complete offerings as a on-prem platform, right? But understanding the customer needs and understanding the adaptability of customers towards the SaaS offering, we also have full-fledged SaaS offering that we have started almost 4-5 years back. Right. So we have both the flavors available for our customers, the on-premise option as well as the SaaS offering that's open. So along with the SIM, we have also added the user analytics and the automation capabilities to the platform. Right. So I'll show you the capabilities in action. Right. And when I talk about SaaS, right. So a lot of customers, following several regulations. So customers are mandated to keep the data within the country's boundary, right? The country, uh, be it the financial data or the PII data. So it is a mandate that it should not go out of the country's boundary, right? So we take care of that aspect. We are a SOC 2 Type 2 compliant body ourselves, right? So at any given point of time, your data in our SaaS will never leave the boundary of India. My SaaS is hosted on AWS Mumbai, and multiple replicas are kept within the boundary of India. Okay, so we are a PCI DSS compliant, AWS VAR certified, and so we have all the certifications in place to be completely operational in the country. Right. So just a quick glimpse on the customers that we are serving. So you'd find names like SEBI has been a customer for more than 5 years now. This is the 6th year that we are serving SEBI. We are serving Election Commission of India, Airport Authority of India. So very strong in the government segment, as well as if you look at the enterprise customers. So we are serving Yes Bank, RBL Bank, ICICI Bank, Tata Capital. So a wide gamut of BFSI customers, as well as manufacturing customers like M&M, Sun Pharma in the pharma segment. So TCS again in the ITS segment, right? So you'd find a wide range of customers that we have been serving, right from the biggest customers in their respective segments to the mid market as well as the SMB market that we are catering to. Right. So this is just a quick glimpse on the volume that we are doing with these customers. So my licensing is based on the log volume that we ingest on a daily basis, the raw volume that is ingested. Right. So TCS is one of our large customers in the country. So I'm doing a volume of so the volume is shot up now, but it's more than 20 terabytes per day today. Right. And TCS along with using it as an internal SIM platform for their internal SOC. TCS is also one of our service partners who uses NIF as the underlying SIM platform to serve their internal to their NDR customers themselves. Right. Again, Yes Bank, we are growing on a daily basis. So Yes Bank, when we had started the project 4 years back, so the volume that we were doing with Yes Bank was 10 terabytes on a monthly basis, and today Yes Bank is doing more than 25 TB per day. And so we have integrated not only their security specific devices, but we have also integrated their customized applications, their UPI apps, the KYC applications, etc. And it becomes like a data lake for the different internal departments as well. Right? It becomes a single point of truth for hunting whatever data is required across the departments. Right. So what I want to emphasize over here is that the product has the capabilities, and it has been proven to have the integration capabilities of not only the commercial devices but we have the ability of integrating, your customized applications as well. If there are any in-house applications, or or simply if you have an application which writes the log in a JSON format, so the product is intelligent enough to start, ingesting and parsing the data. So I don't even need a parser to integrate with the JSON logs. Okay, so integration is something that we are very strong in. Right? A quick overview on how the product works or how the architecture looks like. So when it comes to the cloud environments, right? So be it AWS, Azure, GCP, right, or the SaaS products, right, Okta, Salesforce, etc. So we have native connectors built in for the majority of the SaaS and cloud players. You may have a CrowdStrike EDR or a S1 EDR, right? We have native connectors already available to integrate with these platforms. And if you have devices in your premises, be it your firewall, switches, database servers, etc. So we have the integration mechanisms and the parsers readily available to immediately integrate and start parsing the logs from these devices. Okay, so the data onboarding journey is pretty smooth, right? Because we have the readily available connectors and parsers in place, right? So these are the key capabilities that I'd like to show it on the product console itself. Okay, so please allow me to share my product console. I'd like to show these USPs to you on the product console itself. Meanwhile, any question on the PPT or any specific slide or any use case that you would like to understand? What are we doing for this particular customer? Anything? Okay, I think we can take up the questions at a later stage also. Please, feel free to drop it in the chat window also. I think Harish or Ekta would take it up, and I'll be happy to answer it later. Okay.
Sure,
So, yeah, I've shared my product console. I hope it's visible, right? Harish?
Yes, it's visible.
Perfect. Yeah. So this is the NIF console. This is the landing page where you'll log into once you have onboarded as a customer. So the landing page would give you a quick summary of the entire of your environment, right? So you can see what is the log volume that is getting ingested, what is the APS spike that is happening. Device-based APS can also be searched. What is the raw volume that is ingested after enrichment? What is the revised volume? So there are several enrichment capabilities that we have, right, that we give you by default. So after enrichment, the revised volume can also be seen here. Workbooks are nothing but the use cases. So how many workbooks are live streamed? How many use cases are getting triggered due to some of the other activities seen by attackers? Right? What is the coverage in terms of the MITRE framework? So you can see how many tactics have been covered, the technique coverage. What are the top extractors? So extractors is nothing but parsers. So what are the top parsers that are getting activated from the logs? What are the top detections that are getting triggered in your organization? The top suspects, the top target devices, etc. So the landing page immediately gives you a quick overview of what is happening. Is there any attack that is happening? Who are the top suspects who are trying to attack my organization, etc. So all of this is available to you, on the landing page itself. Next, I would like to show you the connected signals page, right? The graph that I would showing on the slide also. So signals is nothing but alerts. Okay, so this is the page where a security analyst would spend the majority of his daytime, right? So you can see that as of right now, I have 164 new alerts that have been triggered. There are 68 unique suspects who are responsible for these alerts. These suspects are trying to target 72 devices in my organization using 15 unique detection techniques. Okay, you have the top suspect list. So a suspect can be an internal user, external IP, anything. The top target devices in your organization and the top detection techniques that are getting triggered by the attackers, right? So line by line, item wise, you have the respective use case that has got triggered. What are the suspects? What are the target devices that are getting that are being targeted? As well as you have an option of, if you feel that this particular use case appears to be a false positive, or you are running some test in our environment or doing some POC, right? And you have simulated some log, so you can immediately mark it as a false positive on the page itself. Right? So now let's just imagine being a SOC analyst, right? So suppose I as an analyst log in and I see that, oh, I have 164 line item of alerts that I have to look at, right? So and a very first response from any analyst would be that it creates a alert fatigue for me when I look at such a large line item of alerts, right? And it is humanly impossible for me to clear out all these alerts in a single time frame. In my 9-hour shift, it is very much impossible for me to clear out all these alerts, right? So what I do is that I probably just select first 15-20 alerts to myself and start working on them. Okay, then suppose Harish as a analyst number 2 logs in the evening shift, he'll do the same thing. He'll assign that 15-20 alerts to himself and start working on it, right? So this is what has been happening traditionally with every analyst, right? But by imagining this scenario, you can think that the ownership of understanding that alert number 1 might somehow be related to a alert number 150, or a alert which has got triggered today. The same attacker might have tried attacking me 6 months ago or 1 year ago, right? So how does an analyst understand that, right? It is impossible for an analyst to recall these attack patterns which have happened 6 months ago or 1 year ago, right? So this is where you need the platform's capabilities or the machine learning capabilities to come in and give me an overview of such attacks or such alerts which are connected to each other. Okay, so hence you can simply, by clicking on view graph, my platform will give you a graphical representation of all the alerts that are interconnected to each other. So now what NIF has done is the 150 odd line item of alerts that I was seeing on the previous page, it has reduced it down to 8 to 10 graphical clusters, right? So for example, if I just click on any cluster, say attack pattern detected, right? So let's see that what is this graph telling me. So if you look at it, so the red ones indicate a suspect device. The blue one indicates the use case that has got triggered by the suspect, and the green ones are the target machines in your organization which are being targeted, right? And you can also see the flow. The dotted flow indicates the flow of where the attack is happening, right? So now what this graph is telling me is that this particular suspect, which appears to be an external IP, did a brute force attack on this particular target machine, right? And you can see that this particular machine is also linked to this particular suspect. And here you can see that the suspect indicates a user machine. So it's an internal user who is trying to do some suspicious activity, right? And hence the reason the flow is from the user to the machine. Over here, it was from the attacker to the machine, right? And hence the reason, since this machine is a common point, it has clubbed it into a single graph, which gives you a complete, a complete kill chain view of the attack. So now this machine doing a brute force, and this particular user machine has run a command line execution on this particular machine, and hence the reason you can see that it has been clubbed. And you can also see that this particular user is not only targeting this machine but is running a command line across all the other devices as well. So a classical example of a lateral movement that is being observed by this user machine. Okay, so now what immediate action that I have to do is that I need to investigate further on this particular suspect and the particular user. So just by clicking on the IP, I would I would be able to get all the investigative details that is required from a investigation point of view. So under investigate, for example, I can see what is the traffic volume flowing to this IP, how many sources are talking to this particular IP, how many hosts have been accessed by this particular user, etc. Under cases, so cases will give you a quick overview that has this attacker been part of any historical case as well. So you can see that under cases, this particular suspect was part of a couple of other cases also, which was closed 4 months ago, right? So you know that this particular suspect has been a frequent attacker trying to get in my organization, right? Under response, so this is where the automation also comes in. So if you feel that this particular suspect appears to be a persistent attacker, and even I have to immediately block this particular IP, any traffic from this IP, you can just use this play button over here, and once you click on it, the platform would command your firewall. Since I'll be integrating with your firewall, it will do a API call to your firewall to block this particular IP. And once you do the call, the IP would be added in the block IP list in your firewall. Similarly, if you have any ITSM platform, so Jira, ServiceNow, Slack, or whatever, so you can create just by a click, just by clicking on the play button, there would be a ticket that would be raised on your ITSM platform as well, right? And lastly, under lookup, so this is the enrichment coming in. So for the demo sake, I have integrated with VirusTotal and Alien Vault. So I can immediately see that what is VirusTotal telling me about this particular IP. So VirusTotal is telling me that this particular IP has come in from China. The owner of this IP is China Mobile Communication. And if there would have been any score given to this particular IP by the threat intel feeds, then the score would have been seen over here, right? So all the details that is required to an analyst to further investigate or assess a particular suspect is available to you just by clicking on the suspect IP. Okay. So this is how, instead of looking at these individual line item of alerts, the analyst would get a complete triage overview by looking at a graphical picture. Okay, so drastically reduces the alert fatigue that is caused by analyst, and hence very drastically improves the efficiency of your analyst as well, right? And also, so if you are, suppose you'll always have your L1 or your L2 analyst looking at the screen, right? So if an analyst feels that okay, this is something that needs to be probably addressed by a senior resource, then you get an option where you can add this particular signal into the case management section. Okay, once you click on it, it will take you to the case management section over here, right? And this is, so we built the case management section, so so you can, as a project manager or as a L3 analyst, you can yourself assess your efficiency of the analyst who are working for you, right? So you can see that how many cases are live, how many cases were closed by the handlers. So you can, for example, open any particular case, right? And you can assign your handlers to the cases. So all your SOC analyst names would appear to you over here. You can assign the cases to your handler. You can, under kill chain view, you can look at the date-wise movement that has been observed by these attackers, right? So you can see that on 21st June, this particular tactic was triggered. on 30th July, this particular technique was triggered, right? So this is nothing but the MITRE attack framework. So these are the tactics by the MITRE attack framework, and these are the sub techniques as highlighted by the MITRE framework. So you, in the kill chain view, you have a day by day wise pattern that has been observed by from these attackers, right? And lastly, in the note section, if there is any movement that is observed, for a particular case, it will all be saved by default in the case section. And I as an analyst can simply write in my notes as per my observation and save it over here, right? For example, here, so I have an option of saving it over here, so that whenever my senior analyst starts working on him, then he has the required inputs, for his further analysis, right? So any question on this? Because honestly, this capability is something that customers really like, because as an analyst, it takes away a lot of your headache away. Instead of looking at 100 of line item of alerts, I can simply look at 10-20 clusters and solve it in a day's time. Any question? Cool, no worries. I'll proceed with next. I wanted to show you the MITRE mapping. Okay, so we've integrated the MITRE attack framework on the platform itself. The reason being, so this capability has been built based on the multiple user feedback that we used to get. Okay, so many customers used to often come to us and say that I've got the costliest security tool in place, right? I've got this firewall, I've got this particular CSPM tool, etc., etc. But I have no way where I can calculate or self-assess my security posture, right? How do I know that I'm 50% secure or am I 80% secure? How do I assess that, right? So the right answer to that is, this assessment is something that uh, it's it's basically a journey that you have to walk to, right? And this is where, by using the MITRE framework, we are trying to help you on this journey of self-assessing your posture, right? So if you look at it, so these are the tactics and these are the techniques and sub-techniques as defined by the MITRE framework. Okay. So if you see, there are some boxes which are checked in green and some boxes which are faded away, right? So, so the reason for the boxes being faded away and boxes being checked is, it simply tells me that if a attacker is going to use this particular technique, right? So for example, under discovery tactic, I have these many sub techniques defined by the MITRE framework, using which I can prevent an attack from an attacker, right? So you can see that there are boxes which are automatically checked in green. So what it simply indicates is that this particular, if a attacker is going to use this particular technique to get into my organization, I have the rule written. So this is nothing but a rule that I have pre-built, to detect this attack. Okay, so whenever this attack is seen, my platform would automatically trigger an alert, right? So it simply tells me that if an attacker is going to use this technique, I have the rule written, as well as I have the required log source integrated with the SIEM platform. Okay, so I am telling you that, sir, this is the rule that is required to trigger an alert, and this is a device that you need to integrate so that I can trigger an alert for you. Okay, and hence, since you've integrated, since both of these are checked, it automatically turns into green. But there are some boxes which are not yet checked in green. Okay, so the reason for this is that although I have a use case or rule written to detect this attack, I have not integrated the required log source with the SIM. So since I have not integrated the NTA log source, there is no way that my SIM will be able to trigger an alert for me. So it simply means that if an attacker is going to use this technique and gonna come through the NTA log source, there is no way that my SIM will be able to trigger the alert. Okay, so might as well the attacker might be successful in to do a successful attack. All right. So as a customer, you immediately understand that, okay, in order for me to be secure against this particular attack, I need to immediately integrate the NTA log source. And once you integrate NTA, this box will automatically get checked into green. Okay. So hence, you are able to look at all the use cases, all the rules that I'm writing on the platform, or all the rules that you are getting out of the box by default on the platform are all mapped with the MITRE attack framework. Okay. So you can just simply come on the MITRE page and do a self-assessment that, how many attacks am I vulnerable against? And if I have a log source to be integrated, then I might as well, integrate it with the SIM so I can be, I can get an alert against that attack. Okay. So you get, so all the techniques flagged by the MITRE framework are all covered in here. Right. Next, I would like to show you the threat hunting page. Okay. So this is simply the page where you can just where you can come and suppose you have an auditor coming in, and auditor is asking for any specific log from a particular device. You can simply come here, select a time frame, select the stream. So stream is nothing but the log source. Select the stream. If you want to further aggregate your filter, you are more than welcome to do it. Right, and once you just click on search, it will give you the complete annotated and parsed data from your device. Okay, so so this was the raw log that was generated by your device. Okay, and after the raw log has landed on my platform, I immediately parse it and give it to you in this particular annotated manner, where you can see that, okay, this log has come in from a FortiGate firewall. What was the action performed? Or the source IP, the source port, destination IP, destination port. And since I am also doing a real-time geographical enrichment for your IP, you can also see that what is the source country as well as the source ASN number. The ASN number is a unique number given to the ISPs, right? And of course, you have the source ISP as well. Along with that, you also have the destination country, destination ISP, etc. Right? So this is how immediately you can perform threat hunting uh, or query your data for audit purpose or for threat hunting purpose. Right. So one more thing that we have done on the product is that if you look at the traditional SIEM platform, right? So any traditional SIEM platform would have a restricted or a limited querying capability, right? For example, if any one of you has used Splunk, so Splunk has something called as SQL Splunk query language, right? So for you to use Splunk query language, you need to be well versed with how the language works, right? And that generally becomes like a learning curve. So if you have a trained resource who's expert on writing that query, and if that resource happens to leave tomorrow, you again need to train your new resource on that particular query language. That would again take a couple of months, so till that period, the threat hunting takes a backseat and no one is there to perform threat hunting, right? So understanding this very pain point, we are giving you multiple options using which you can query the data. The first is the simple search bar that I just showed to you. Second is the DQL query. So DQL is nothing but our own query language, NIF query language that we've built. Okay, so it's pretty simple. We have training sessions for our customers and partners. So for example, 4D is very well trained in writing DQL queries. right? So you can simply, if you want, you can also aggregate the searches, so stream is equal to firewall where source IP is equal to, okay. So once I just query this data, so it will give me a particular traffic that has come in from this particular IP. So if you see, it's not that difficult to write a DQL query, right? So DQL is something, as I said, there are several training sessions, regular periodic trainings that happen, right? Uh, Next, I am also giving you an option of writing SQL queries. So generally there are experts on SQL. So if you are comfortable writing SQL queries, you are more than welcome to do that. And lastly, if you have anyone who's expert on writing Python codes, so you can write as complex Python codes as you want and query the data. Right. So there are multiple options using which you can query. So so there is no resource dependency for performing threat hunting or performing data querying. All right. So this is my threat hunting page, and I'll just quickly sum up with the other run you through the other capabilities. So in the report section, I have by default a lot of out of the box rules, out of the box reports that I give. Okay, so I have many compliance reports that a lot of customers leverage, right? So you can create your own report. There is no restriction on writing reports, creating reports, and you have the option of scheduling the reports. So you can select say a report to run weekly. You can select a particular time zone and select a day, and you can add as many recipients as you want, right? So I have customers who have also added some auditors mail IDs in the reports, so that whenever the report is scheduled and whenever the report is generated, uh, automatically the reports are mailed to the respective recipients. Okay, and you have the option of downloading the reports as well. So more than welcome to create as many reports, as many scheduling reports as you want. Right? I have out of the box dashboards as well, wherein you can look at the dashboards, what to get a complete overview on a particular device. So I have customers who have created something called as a CIO dashboard or a CISO dashboard. Depending on their priority, they have created a customized dashboard and created several visualizations for it. Right, and as per they can just simply log in, look at the dashboard, and get a immediate overview of what is happening, right? So I'm just showing you this sample trend micro email security dashboard. So you can see how many total threats detected, total emails quarantine, bounced emails, right? So there are a lot of out of the box dashboards that you get by default, right? And if you want to create custom dashboards for yourself, you're more than welcome to do it. Okay. Yeah, and I think lastly, I would just like to show you the Yuba capabilities. So this is the page where you can just simply come in and look at have a look at your top risky users or the top risky suspects, top risky devices. So the platform would always keep a check on the user activities, on the device activities, and depending on the kind of activity that they are involved in, if it is, for example, involved in a suspicious activity, if, for example, if your user has done some possible exfiltration, right? So the platform would automatically give it some threat score, right? And depending on the threat score, the user will be marked as a red user or marked as a blue user. Depending on the color code, you can immediately come on this page and see that why is this particular user marked as a risky user. So you can see under activity, you can immediately look at what are the suspicious activities he's been a part of, right? Under graph, You can again look at a graphical picture of why this particular attacker, what movement is this attacker doing, right, in a graphical manner. Under kill chain, you can look at the day by day wise activity pattern by shown by this particular user, right. And lastly, under response, if you think that a user is performing some malicious activity, and I immediately need to quarantine this particular user. So you can just by click of a button leverage your EDR and quarantine this particular user. Okay, or since I'll be also integrating with your Active Directory, so you can reset a user's password using your Active Directory also. Right? So you don't need to juggle between multiple product consoles to take any action. You can just simply do it on the NIF console itself. Right? And also I can see that this particular user has been a part of historical cases as well. So appears to be a risky user. So I might as well investigate further, and look at it. And under investigate you get the complete details. So employee details will give you the employee ID, the reporting, the hierarchy, who's the reporting manager, user details, employee ID, etc., etc. And similar is the case with your host as well. So host is nothing but your the devices that you've integrated with my SIM, right? So one fine day, for example, if you have a firewall which blocks say 500 IPs on a daily basis, and one fine day your firewall has started blocking 5,000 IPs. Okay, so it would automatically observe and mark it as an anomaly shown by your firewall, and it would automatically give it some threat score, right? So not only your users, but your devices are also continuously monitored and are assigned threat scores depending on the activity. Right. So yeah, I'll just show you the last admin console. So under data sources, so you can see how many connectors or how many data sources are continuously sending me data. If I just click on the plus button, so these are the default connectors that I have pre-built on the platform. Suppose if you are there on AWS and if you are storing data on AWS S3 bucket, I can simply click on the S3 connector, click on next. You'll have to enter your specific account specific details over here, and once you click on next, it will automatically start pulling the log from your S3 connector. Right? There is hardly any manual intervention that is required. All the steps are given to you on the page itself. All the requisites are available to you on the page itself. And using it, the customer himself means you can yourself leverage the connector and do the integration. There is no high level expertise required, right? The connector is smart enough to start pulling the log on itself. So there are n number of connectors that we have by default, and for several SaaS applications, and of course for on-prem, we have a mechanism of collecting it through a log collector. Okay. So yeah, I'm pretty much done from my side. These are all admin level capabilities where you can keep a look at your daily base utilization. What is the log volume that you are ingesting? How many devices are giving you? What are the log volume that is getting ingested from specific devices, etc., etc. Right. Yeah. I think I'm pretty much done showing the capabilities. I think I'll hand it over to Harish, or if anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Mummy. Thanks, Mummy. We, if someone is, raising hands, you can unmute them. Can post the questions in the chat if you want. I hope you have access to the chat. We'll just wait for the questions to be raised.
Sure. I'll just stop sharing my screen. Okay. Yeah. So team, any questions? or any specific concerns that how do we do this, or what is it that you would like to achieve, and how can we help you out on that? Anything, it could be anything, feel free to ask. We'll be more than happy to answer. Yeah, I think Jasmine has pinged on the chat box. So, team, if you have any questions, please, feel free to drop it on the chat window. We'll take it up. Any which ways you have an option of, you can connect with the 40 team anytime.
Yeah. So what we'll do post this call, we'll also in fact share the recording session. We'll also share you the information about NIF and about the services that Cody provides along with NIF, the soft services. So we'll keep in touch. We'll welcome the questions on the email also. So I think we are done. We are good on time. Thanks, Manish. Good job. So we'll close it if no one has any questions. So we'll close the webinar in 2 minutes. And,
Sure. I think Harish, you can probably circle back and see, if anyone has any question, and please let me know. We can take it up later.
absolutely.
Sure, sure, sure.
Thank you, everyone. So
Thanks a lot, Harish.
we'll catch up.
Thank you, Harish. Thank you,
Thanks,
Jasmine,
Ekta.
for
Thanks,
setting
Manish.
it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Jasmine. Thank you,
Thank you.
Anya. Thanks, Avi.
Thank you all.